Hello everyone, good evening and welcome along to this live webinar. And we have a special guest today, Steve Doran, that is joining us. And we're going to speak about property, technology, and in between. And also Sarel from our team is here to moderate this webinar. If you watch it on our YouTube channel, please subscribe to our channel to get more relevant content. If you have questions, feel free to put them on the chat. And I will start with you, Steve. How are you this evening before we will show the agenda of today? Um,
Yeah,
so,
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me on, Avaram. Great to see you and welcome on everyone. I can see loads of people now. I just kept watching the numbers go up and up and up, over 100, more and more and more and more. And so look, I just want to say well done to everyone who's taken time out of their evening to sit onto webinars like this to work out how you can educate yourself in property, how you can use technology to help you get ahead in the game because you can't do the same things now and get the same results as you did years ago. So Lendlord's a great platform and it's great to be on. And so welcome on. Congratulations for showing up. A lot of people register and don't show up. So you guys are the action takers who actually get on and do it. And thanks, Avaram, for putting on the webinar and for pulling together the technology that many of us use for managing, for sourcing, and I'm not just saying that, by the way, guys, when Avaram and the team first ever reached out to me, and I get reached out to by quite a few different places. The first thing I said was, "This is great. I use Lendlord all the time." So it's a values alignment for me. It's a good platform. I'd love the opportunity to collaborate and join on a webinar and do things like this. So thank you, Avaram, for putting this on. And welcome on, everyone. It's great to see you. And some familiar names as well. I can see in the chat box. It's great to see you guys too. I think there's a few people. Just out of curiosity, if you've seen me before or you've been coached by me before, can you just drop an S in the chat box just so I can sort of see? Because I know I've seen some quite a few familiar names. Okay, yeah, quite a few. I thought so. Excellent. Well, great to see you guys on. And if you haven't, then it's lovely to meet you as well. And I look forward to spending the evening with you. Excellent.
oh, it's
Nice.
amazing to see. Thanks, Steve. And yeah, kudos to everyone to join us this evening. And we have 1 hour, like a very interesting hour, I think. Let me share the agenda of today. Um, these are the topics that we will cover. Perhaps we'll do it more like a freestyle, and hopefully we'll cover all the points. I think, Steve, perhaps we can start with some your like take about the market, the property market, and how do you see it during like the toward the end of 2025. Then we speak about some tips about property sourcing, and we will show the Landlord AI feature that can help property investors make better decisions. Then we perhaps can discuss about how you define a great deal, and it will be followed by a live deal analysis using our deal analyzer. And I'm happy to hear your thoughts when we analyze deals on how you look at potential return and what metrics you think more important. Um, then we will continue with the Lendlord AI. We'll try to keep it quite short and go to the question and answer session. And as we do usually on webinars, we basically want to promote two things this evening. Um, One is, I know I can share, Steve, perhaps I will let you speak about the new program that is coming in. Before you do that, I want also to, as we do usually on webinars, to promote a coupon code to our premium plan with 50% off. Sarel will put the link on the chat. All you need to do is to go to your Lendlord account, click on the settings from the right top menu, or click the link that Sarel put on the chat, click upgrade, then click add coupon and enter the value Steve webinar and click apply, and you will get the premium plan for the entire first year for 49.5 pounds for the entire year, only 50% off. The premium plan has great list of features if you want to source properties and get smart alerts, if you want to get more information about the property, if you want to maintain a watch list, run property value estimation, rental value estimations, and Also on the manage section, if you want to link your bank account, manage documents and more. And also to get early access to the Lendlord AI feature. Also, if you upgrade during this time of the webinar, you will get early access. So you have the benefit during this webinar time to upgrade. And Steve, perhaps before you start, if you want to speak about your plans for the rest of the year before we jump into the agenda.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm super excited at the minute, Avaram, for the last nearly a year now. I've been building and getting ready to launch a new training academy with opportunities for people to learn about all of the different strategies in property so they don't feel like they're going into the dark and don't know what they're doing. And that is now coming very close to our initial launch, which is coming around the corner. Just in May, we're going to be running a 2-day online training event, which I'm super excited for. It's called the Property Wealth Accelerator. At this time, we've not opened the doors to actually take tickets and place people on, but we are letting people register their interest on a priority list so that they can be the first to hear when those tickets become available. So if you're okay with me to share it, I would love to share a link for people to join that priority list. So basically, by joining the priority list, guys, that means that you'll be the first person to hear. So we will send you an email 48 hours before the tickets go live. We are entirely certain that this event's going to sell out. We've capped it at 100 spaces so that we can provide the best support and service during the 2-day online event. And we're going to be covering everything, irrespective of whether you've been in property for 30 years or you're just starting out. We're going to be talking about strategies, raising finance, tax, and how you can optimize and scale your portfolio. So we're going to be analyzing deals on there, and I'll be taking questions throughout the 2 days. And I'll be joined by 3 other trainers on that event as well. So I'm super excited to have you guys on there. Would love to see you there. I'll grab a link and pop it in the chat box for you.
I have the link if you want me to share the same
Even
one.
better. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I think it should be this one.
Thanks, Narins. Good to see you. Excellent. So that's the link there. So if you click on that link, it will take you through to a page. All you've got to do is pop your email in and pop your phone number in. And as soon as we open the doors, we will open the doors privately to everyone on that list. And if there's any tickets left, we'll open them publicly. Again, I'm 100% confident this one will be a sellout. It's the first event. Those that have trained with me, you know that I've trained tens of thousands of people over the years, but I've been pretty quiet for the last 7 or 8 months. And so this is the first opportunity then to properly work with me and to be trained by me in the next month. So I really look forward to seeing some of you guys on there. Well done, Mildred said it's done. And if you do jump onto that list as well, do let me know in the chat box that you've done it as well. And I look forward to seeing some of you names. And I would love to say faces, but at this point, see your names on the day. Awesome. Excellent. I see you there, Anthony. I see you there, John. I see you there, Mark. Brilliant. And Trevor. Excellent. Elena subscribed yesterday. Yes, so we launched it yesterday. Just give you a perspective. We've launched the priority list yesterday, and we're currently at how many on the list? 150. We're currently at 150 on that list, and we soft launched it just to our mailing list initially. We've only got 100 tickets, so we're expecting. We just put on social media this evening, didn't we? And now on here, so we're expecting by the end of the week to have about 400 people on the list, and the first 100 that comes through on the day, we'll look forward to seeing you at the event. So excellent stuff, and again, well done for showing up, and I look forward to spending more time with you on that event as well. And Avaram, thanks for letting me share that as well. I do appreciate that.
No, we are honored, and we work with you for many months, Steve, and always we get great feedback from our users that engage with you through webinars or one-on-one. So it's great, and I think it's a great opportunity for Lendlord users to get more training, education. It's always good. So it's great, and it's great. It's almost semi-exclusive for us. The launch of this program.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so let's jump into the agenda. I think the first topic is the property market. I think if you look at the macro level, I think the world in terms of financial news and the things that's coming from the US market, I think there is a lot of uncertainty in the global market right now. The question, how you see it now, like if you have some thoughts about the property market, toward the end of 2025, if there's going to be any impact, opportunities, anything you think you can share, happy to hear, Steve.
Absolutely. I think when there's times of unrest, it tends to be the times when there's the most opportunity around, if you know what you're doing and what opportunities to look out for. Of course, markets are in an interesting predicament at the moment. Property, in my view, has always been the best investment if you compare it to stocks, if you compare it to crypto. Don't hate me, crypto people. I love those investments as well, but not in the same level. Property is a tangible asset with an intrinsic value and basic law of economics, supply and demand. I think it was last year we had over 900,000 people net migration into the UK. All of those people need somewhere to live. We're short on houses. When the last government or this government came in, they said we'll build 1.5 million over 5 years. That's 300,000 a year. For context, we haven't built that since the mid 70s. So we're nowhere near to meeting the supply. In fact, that wouldn't meet the supply anyway. And we've got an ever increasing demand. We've got people constantly, the population's growing year on year on year. So everybody needs somewhere to live. It's really that simple like I said, a high level. And then that's combined, obviously, with the combination of changes in taxation, regulation, legislation, can drive some of the older landlords out of the market that maybe were in their personal name, maybe are now getting clobbered a bit on tax, and maybe their buy-to-let's not feasible anymore because the value of the property is so high compared to the rent. So it's just more important now than ever to make the right steps in property. Even if you look at the one that I talk about a lot, anyone who follows me on social media will hear me always talking about buying property in a limited company. And in simple terms, in the English Private Landlord Survey 2024, the one just gone, I think still 95% of people own in their personal name. But last year, 70% of people bought in a company for investments. So people are twigging on that that's now the tax efficient way. So if you know what you're doing, you can keep ahead, and tax wise, you can be okay. And then strategy wise, I just think there's more need for certain housing solutions. So I'm big on HMOs. I wrote a book on HMOs that got released in the last few months, and that's flown off the shelves because this is a strategy that people understand. Well, when we need houses, we can't physically build more and more and more houses at the speed that we need them, but we can create more households within one home. And so HMOs, I think, is a great solution, which allows us to alleviate some of the pressure on housing. There's currently, according to spare room stats, there's more people that are looking for rooms than there are rooms available on the market. And then tax wise, you've got other strategies like commercial property for those that want hands off. I've bought two commercial properties over the last few months because there's some great tax benefits in the commercial world if you're looking to manage your income and your tax levels, and equally buying from pensions and so on. So there's some great strategies, but same with commercial property. Property terrain has changed a lot. Some people are working from home. Maybe you want to invest in different commercial than what you would have done many years ago. So I always hear what's going on in the market, and I think, well, we use that information to create our strategy moving forward and our plan. The service accommodation market is, it's great. We're still heavily, especially my partner, still heavily into service accommodation. You just now need to know there's more regulation coming in, which I always see as a good thing. This happened to us in the HMO world several years ago. For anyone who's been in HMOs a while, I bought my first HMO in 2009, so it's been a few years. And there didn't used to be much regulation around HMOs back then, but since it's come in, it's good because it weeded all of the less professional landlords out of the market and left us providing good quality homes. I think similar is happening now with your furnished holiday let. So a lot of viable strategies. Buy to let can work, but you've got to be very specific in the areas. And this is where the tools like Avaram's takes a lot of time out. What do we do as investors? We spend most of our time analyzing deals and trying to find ones that stack, whether it's a flip or a BRR. And so it's useful to have the tools. So yeah, what do I see? I'm fine with where the market's at. I see a lot of opportunity. I see a lot. There's always motivated sellers. There's always opportunity to buy. I think you can never take a short-term view of a long-term investment. So if you're going to be in property for 5, 10, 20 years, it's a bit irrelevant what the value of the property does in the next year or two. It's if you're looking to get in and out, then you've got to be really sharp on the speed of what you do as well. So look, there's so much I could go. I could go on for 2 days, and I will for those that come on the 2 days. But look, we've got to give you a bit of a context, we've got a lettings agency, we've got a deal sourcing business, and we've got a finance brokerage as well. And so we see a lot of what's happening in different aspects of the market, but everything's still ticking along from our perspective. I think the investment side in particular is still ticking along, but be very careful getting your investment advice from the newspapers. I often quote Mark Twain. It says, if you read the newspapers, if you don't read the newspapers, you're uninformed. And if you do read the newspapers, you're misinformed. So you have to be careful where you get your data from. Data is really what logical investors use to make decisions. And Office for National Statistics, Zoopla House Price Index, Rightmove House Price, they're good, credible sources that I'd recommend using. And of course, Lendlord as well. And this is, I say this, it sounds like I'm just like Lendlord this, Lendlord that, but it's true. They've got, with the Reform Act, the
That's right.
rent,
Yeah.
renters' rights, they've got live updates on the website as well. So
Yeah, yeah,
it
we
just
we actually provide weekly updates now on the renters' right bill reform. Like it's available on our website. I can share the links for the news hub. Um, and yeah, I think it's get. I totally agree about that, to get the education from the right source, and perhaps also to to take a look on different sources as well, just to.
Correct, yeah. I think knowledge and network. So you need the information and you need the implementation. So if you're surrounded, like on this webinar, we've got hundreds of people here that are in the property space in some capacity. If you're surrounded by people in the property space, you keep communicating that knowledge and interpret it and making a plan off the back of it. And that can't be, it can't be overstated, the value of doing that. So I think knowledge and network are the two keys to being successful in property at this time. But I don't have to tell anyone here that, because they're here to build their knowledge and and their skills in property investment.
Yeah. So I just shared the news up for the renters' right bill, and also our premium users get the weekly updates to their email. So you have the 50% coupon code if you want to become premium user. Um, but yeah, I think I totally agree with what you say. And I feel like, just to summarize, I think property is for the long term. Like it's a long-term investment. Property is here to stay, I think. And perhaps like one follow-up question for you, Steve. If you look at the different strategies, you mentioned some, and I can add also the strategies of, doing buy to sell, like flip projects, or BRR, like to find a property that needs some renovation in order to increase the value. What would you see, like basically you think should be the focus now for investor? Or it really depends on, on each.
It's a great question. There's a couple of questions I get all the time. Which strategy should I do? And also which area? So
Oh,
if they know the strategy, they're like, which area is the best area? I'm like, well, it's a very big place, the UK. And there's a lot of strategies. So it's hard for me to answer that question and say, but this is the strategy right now that's hot. It just doesn't work in that way. What I would say is it's important to identify the right strategy for you and to focus on that strategy and drown out the noise, because there is so much, right? So it's important to say, well, what's my goal? So is it short-term cash flow? That might lead you to cash flow strategies, rent to rent, deal packaging. Is it long-term capital appreciation? You've got your business, you've got a lump of cash, you don't need that cash, you just want to put some money into property and buy and hold. So I would say, what's your resources and what's your goal? And between those two things, and resources could be your capital and it could be your time. And between those two things, I think you can decide. So, as an example, if you've got a high amount of capital and no time, you might say, well, I'm going to buy a commercial property with long lease on it, forget about it, let the tenant just get on. If you've got a high amount of time and no capital, you might say, I'm going to set up a deal sourcing business and go and find deals and sell them to investors. So all of those strategies work, trust me, because I do all of them, do all of those. Once you get to a point, then you can diversify. But I'd say initially, just pick one, stick to one, and then the most important thing you can do is drown out the noise. Because I've actually delivered over 2,000 hours of one-to-one coaching at this point, which is a lot of hours. So you see some patterns that sometimes emerge. And one of those patterns when people come into the property education space is they find a strategy, go, this is great. And then they see another one. And so a month later, they're going, I'm interested in service accommodation now. The next month, HMO, the next month, commercial. Then 6 months have gone and they haven't made the progress. So I think take as much time as you need. You could take a month just making the decision on which strategy. Once you've made that decision, just stick to it. They all work. they all work if you apply them correctly, but it has to align with your goals and your resources. So I'm sorry that I can't just say do flips in Manchester as such, but I think it's worth spending it's important to spend the time getting that decision.
Absolutely. I think this is the great tip here is the focus. Like choose one strategy, get the education on it, and then stick with it. And with less distraction, as much less distraction as you can. Uh,
100%.
all right. So next topic is about sourcing, property sourcing. And perhaps Steve, I can start with first on your landlord account. You have before this is the renters right build use app, which I shared on the chat, and like you have weekly updates also on our blogs is accessible, and premium users will get the updates to their email on a weekly basis. Now, in terms of the agenda, if we speak about sourcing on your landlord account, you will find on the invest part the sourcing tabs. So the on market listings, you will find properties from estate agents all around the UK. Auctions, you will find auction lots, and on the premium plan, you can also place bid online and get more information about the properties. On the premium plan, you can also define sourcing alerts. So you can get notifications on price decrease, price increase for properties on your watch list. And to maintain a watch list, also part of our premium plan. And you can also define search criteria. You can start with an address, then radius from this address, range, the price range, and the property types you're interested in. And then you will start to receive weekly or even daily updates based on the properties that we find that match your criteria. Uh, and first, Steve, I will ask you about property sourcing in general, and then I will show also how you can use Lendlord AI to help you get some insights about that. So what is the best? I know it's like a stupid question, but how you find the best property to buy at the right place, at the right price, at the right time? And
There's no stupid questions. It is a great question. So, well, how do you find the right property, right place? I think it's about not just the right property. It's also about the right seller, So a lot of times when people are looking at a deal, let's say this because it's on the screen now, you've got a deal here that's a flip, right? And so people, I mean, it's not, but we've got an example. I know you automatically calculate, could it work as a flip? So often people will look and go, well, 25 grand profit. That's with a bridging loan, I believe, isn't it?
yeah, with the bridging.
That yeah, would it work as a flip? And well, actually, there could be more profit in there because what if we negotiated that purchase price down by a big chunk? I bought a property that was on for 550, and I negotiated it down to 490. So that's 60 grand off the asking price. So what if we did that now? Then there's money in the flip. And this is one of the things I have, for example, with flips, is people say, "Oh, I can't find a deal that stacks." And I'm like, well, hold on a minute. Are you count what now? Talk me through your calculations. And the refurb's fine because that's an important one. The exit price they've calculated fine, but the buy price they've just gone off of whatever somebody's asked for it on Rightmove. And more times than not, with a lot of strategies, we're going to be negotiating off the front end. So as I say, it's not just about the right property; it's the right seller. There's motivated sellers across the UK for all different reasons. People needing to move quickly for work. There's people that might be married and they want to sell one or moving in together, they want to sell one of their places. There's people that are in financial difficulty, people going through divorce, there's inheritance and properties that have gone through probate that need to be divided up. So there's loads of reasons. And that's one thing that I just think is key to remember that
How you
whatever
find
you're
those?
looking at,
How you find those people?
how do
Yeah.
you find those people? It's a bit of a numbers game, right? So in here, the first step is to analyze, right? So you analyze and you say, would this still work?
Yeah.
And if the answer's no, then I say, well, what would it need to be for it to work? So let's say we calculated all of our numbers and we said, all right, this particular property, we said, would it work as it is? What have we got here? This one doesn't work, right? This one might be too far out. Let's
Yeah,
have a
we
look.
can, you know what, we can do now the analysis. So we can pick just buy to let, perhaps, like regular buy to let.
Yeah, anything. And because look, there's three opportunities. I think, to create wealth in property. And one is to buy at the right price. One is to add value to the property, and then one is to get the highest possible return on it. And you can hit all three of them in one deal potentially. So, yeah, you could look and say, well, does this deal stack up well for me? If it doesn't quite meet your criteria, well, what would I have to buy it for it to? Rather than just turning away. And then you can start sussing out with the seller. So first we analyze deals, then we view them, and then we make offers on them. I would be surprised if all of the offers that we made got accepted. If you get offers accepted straight away, you've offered too high, whatever your strategy is. So the first step is just to buy in at the right price. Um, and so the key for me, of course, this is on the assumption that you've worked out your area, you know the type of property you're buying, and you know what you're doing with it, which is key. But then it's negotiating the price down. Not every seller will negotiate down, and also not everyone will negotiate down straight away. Some of them will come back to you a few weeks later after they've sat for a while and it hasn't moved. And if they need to sell and you're willing to buy, then you can help them to move on. So that's a key one, and you can play with those numbers on here as well. You can drop down what the purchase price is, and it's going to change the metrics of the deal to help them stack up. But I think that's a key one. It's hard to really know because you could have somebody who you'd think would be quite motivated who will refuse to negotiate, and then you have somebody who you'd think doesn't have any real need to move quickly, but also doesn't really have a need to negotiate heavily, so is happy to take some money off just to get on. Um, and you really do get some deals. So I think buying at the right price. The second part of getting a great deal is what you do with the property itself.
Hey,
Are you
by the way,
gonna?
one note before you jump to the second point, in terms of the right price, we just added a feature show comparables.
Mhm.
So if you use
Nice.
this toggle, this is a premium feature, by the way. You can see all the sold prices in this area. You can see also the property type. And we also basically you can see some real properties in this area. And here you have the comparables tab. You can see also the list of properties, and you can go to the property on a Google map and basically
Brilliant.
take a look on it. So this is basically available now for premium users. And of course, you have also the postcode information, and here you can get also information about property asking price in this area based on property type, the
Right.
comparables in the charts, and some important information about crime in the area, schools, commute method, age distribution, and more. So
Yeah, and this really is important information. One thing I love, the fact you've gone sold comparables because they're the most accurate. Sometimes I talk to people about comparables and they go, oh, there's one for sale here and there's one for sale there. And I said, it doesn't matter what they're for sale for. You need to look at the sold comparables because if you get a RICS chartered surveyor to come and value a property, they will always do it based on the sold comparables in the area. So definitely the most accurate type of data to work with. And then you mentioned about like the data for the area, and people go, "Oh yeah, but the crime rate actually is really important." I had a client yesterday. She's comparing two HMO deals, and they're in two completely different areas. And basically, I just said, "Well, should we have a look at the areas themselves? What the demographics like?" One of them had average crime rate. And I don't think it's displayed necessarily the same in here, but the average crime rate is calculated per thousand people. So you probably could work it out from this. But per thousand people, one of them was 288 per thousand, and the other one was 80 per thousand. And one of her criteria was she wanted to be in a nice area that she could potentially live within the property while it's being renovated and before it's converted into an HMO herself. So yeah, two very different potential outcomes, and also just the type of tenant that you're going to be dealing with if it's tenants. So yeah, good stuff, good data. There was a question that came in actually. How do you get estate agents to present your lower offer? Which is a great question. I mean, it's James, was it? Yeah, James. And look, this is a key point for everyone I have to know, because we're registered estate agents as well. Every single estate agent has a legal obligation to pass on any offer that's made on a property up until the point that that property is exchanged contracts with another buyer. So if an agent, because I've had this, right? So I've had agents turn around to me and say, in fact, the one that I quoted, the 550 that I bought for 490, the agent turned around and at the viewing, no, because I made the offer at the viewing. No, that's it's too low. I said, with all due respect, you've got a legal obligation to pass my offer on. So I appreciate your opinion, but you have to pass the offer on. And I always follow that up in writing, and I always copy more than one person into the firm because I grew up in Lewisham. I can be a little bit cynical, and I just like to make sure that my offer is actually making it to the seller. It turned out the seller was actually, in fact, it was 480 I offered. Turned out the seller was quite keen. They went to 500. I went down to 490, and that's where we did the deal. But yeah, it is critical to remember they have to pass your offer on. So always make sure you follow it up in writing and always try and put more than one person in there.
Steve, one note about, and I think we can discuss now LendlordAI and how it can help you because you mentioned the agent. So first on the premium plan, you can get the details of the agent. And
Nice.
with LendlordAI, you can phrase emails and then, of course, rephrase with if you know how to work. It's like it's basically it's connected to ChatGPT and Claude, so it can help you rephrase emails to your agent, and then phrase emails, and then you can rephrase the text. So for now, you just need to copy paste the text. Next step will be will help you like send it in one click to the agent. And also in terms of how to use AI when you source properties. So let's say that you now browse properties and you find properties that is of interest for you. You can click on this button, Summarize with AI. If you don't see it, it's because you're not premium user, so you need to upgrade. Then you will get the answer. Now, basically, the LendlordAI analyze the data. And actually, this is quite, I think, ready property. I think it's more interesting on the auctions tab. But here you will get a summary from LendlordAI, and then you can do some follow-up questions. And I think I did already an exercise about, or let's do it from scratch. So in the auctions tab, so if you want like a strategy of flip or BRR, then here you will find perhaps properties that need some renovation. So I would always start with a summary of the deal. What happens here? And then you can ask follow-up question. For instance, estimate the refurb cost for this property, and then it can give you a bulk number, and then you can compare it to other properties that you already analyzed. So if you want to get early access to the LendlordAI, you need to upgrade to our premium plan. Sarah, if you can share again the link. And okay, so now I get a summary, and then I can ask follow-up question. How much I need to invest in order to improve the value of this property to 100K. And of course, it's like you work with ChatGPT. It's not 100% accurate, but it can give you some indication. It's also connected to the web. So if it needs information about the postcode, and it should get it. And then, you can continue with follow-up questions. It takes some time to analyze the data. We will improve the performance, but then you will get a summary and some recommendations about the renovation budget. And then, of course, you can continue with follow-up questions. Same goes when you analyze this, but I will show you it when we go to this section. Yeah, so let's see where we are here with the agenda. So we covered the sourcing part. I think we discussed, how you define great deal. I think it really depends on the use case. Before we go to perhaps, I think we should jump to the question because I see we have several questions here. And but just before, I want to do together with you, Steve, a quick live analysis of a deal. So let's do some random one, and we can. One second. Let me just find the right screen. Okay. So how you do it, you go to the invest part of the platform, click deal analyzer, and then you start with typing the address. See which strategy you want to analyze together, buy to let, flip, or BRR.
I quite fancy a flip, Aviram.
Okay, so flip, basically what you need to put is the purchase price and the GDV, or the value after refurb. On the premium plan, you can get unlimited get estimations, so you can run estimation for this property. Usually on flip, it will be interior finish quality below average or below average or even unmodernized, and then you can run it with this, and then you can run it with the very high value. For this example, we'll just use random numbers. Then you can put the refurb costs, financing. Steve, what is your approach about bridging finance? Would you buy, like, when you do flip or BRR, would you use bridging finance, or if you have the cash to purchase in cash? What is
I think if you've got the cash to fully cash purchase, this I don't have a straight answer for anything, Avram. I'm not trying to not answer it, but there's two schools of thought here. So one, let's say you had the cash to purchase this and to do the work, you could use all of that cash, which is fine. You're going to save money on lending. However, if you're looking to move fast and do multiple deals, you might want to split that cash and bridge. Equally, some people don't have all of the cash, so they're going to have to bridge. And so bridging is a great solution, which is short term. Anyone on here doesn't know what bridging is. It's a short term lending solution. It's usually interest paid by the month, slightly higher than a mortgage, but it allows you to exit onto a mortgage or to sell. And so a great solution. We do a lot of private lending, so we borrow from private investors as well. But private investors and bridges, we see them as quite similar. I do use bridges and development loans. So yeah, great solution. So yeah, if you had all of the cash, you're going to save cash by using all the cash. But for those that are doing multiple deals, you might want to split and leverage and borrow as well. That's also fair.
Yeah, make definitely sense. Now, when you click proceed, so the platform will use its own defaults in the background to basically provide you with the metrics for this specific flip. You can go to the summary to see what are the defaults that we used. And then if you click on the edit icon, you can change the stamp duty. You can define the closing costs if you want to add, for instance, if you have an agent fee that you want to include, the refurb costs, and all the other details can be also, you can also edit them. And then here we already showed that you can optimize the price and also optimize the loan. So if you want to see if you buy it in cash or if you use bridging loan, what it will do to your profit. And yeah, and also you can go to the postcode information to get the information about the postcode, and you can see the comparables in this area. What is the most important metric when you do like flip, Steve? Like you would look at like
There's a few things. So there's three key metrics for me. So there's the cost of the property. There's three key opportunities. Let me say that. There's a cost of the property. You need to be certain on that, which you can be. So negotiating that. There's the value that you're adding. So often we're going to be doing that for a refurb. We could do it other ways. We could be extending a lease or splitting the title, but often it's going to be a refurb. So you have to get those numbers as accurate as possible to know that the deal actually stacks. And then there's the final value, which is critical to make sure you've calculated that based on sold prices. And then there's the one that I should mention as well, which a lot of people miss on a flip. And I learned this the hard way many years ago, is you have to be flipping the property in an area where that type of property is selling at a reasonable speed, right? So if you buy a property it's probably about 15 years ago now, or maybe 12 actually. But I bought a property once. It was a great deal and refurbed it, put on the market to sell it. It had a nice uh, chunk of profit. It was on for the right price, and it didn't sell for a year. And that's because I bought in an area that was, anyone who knows where sort of I'm Bromley area, but it's an area called Biggin Hill. It was in the valley. It was very tucked away. It was just not the type of home that people were looking for. And so it sat on the market for a long time. It was a slow market. So you want to make sure you're getting properties in an area that are in demand in that area as well. Worth taking that into board. So what you buy it for, what you're spending on adding the value and what you sell for, and then also just making sure you're in an area that moves fast as well, where there's a demand for that type of property.
Definitely. And you can see it on the postcode information. We provide some information about the area. So you can see how many properties are now for sale, the average monthly sales, and the average days on market, which I think is important. You can see, I think there are areas that you can see 360 days. And you can see areas that it's much faster. So it really depends on the area. So great point. Um, yeah, I think the best thing would be like to just to take some questions. So we can go over the chat, but feel free to either raise your hand um, or to write the question on the chat again. Before we continue, I see a question how you apply the coupon code. So you can either click on the link on the chat or go to your settings page, click upgrade, then add coupon and enter Steve webinar, click apply. And here you should get the 49.5 pounds for the entire year. Also reminding you about the Steve program. This is the link. If we can put it again on the chat, sorry, if you can put it. So great opportunity to,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so yeah, so use this. And now let's go to answer some questions. All right, let's see if we have some people. If you want to ask questions, just raise your hand. In the meantime, we will pick some questions from the chat.
All right. And while you guys are typing or raising your hands, yeah, just a reminder that if you do click on that link, you can get yourself registered onto the priority list, and then you will be the first person to hear about the 2-day event, which is going to be next month, which has got 100 seats available. It's with myself. We're covering all different strategies. We're going to be doing a live deal analysis. We're going to be bringing on other trainers as well to deliver training with you guys. And of course, those that follow me on social media will be talking a lot about tax. In fact, while I think of it, if you don't follow me on social media, let me get a
Sure.
list of social media links that I've got to hand here that have been sent over. And there are some of the links for my social media platforms for anyone who isn't already connected with me. It would be great to connect. All right. So, um,
All right, let me pick
a
some
few
questions.
questions in now.
Yeah, I'm trying to see from the beginning. Just okay. Will Lendlord expand to commercial? Um, yeah, I would not say no because it's in the plan. It really depends on the priorities. I think that today, with some workarounds, you can manage commercial properties with Lendlord, but to be honest, the platform is designed for residential properties. But I think, Sahil, if you can share also the link tree, so you can schedule the one-on-one demo with our team, and then they can help you set up also commercial properties on Lendlord. Let me see. Okay, one question from James. How do you get a state agent to present your low offer? I think you answered that, yeah?
I think we did that one. Yeah, yeah.
Uh, Sold prices for Northern Ireland. I think we should have them as well. Is it available on the premium plan? Yes. Uh, Let me see. Is there an ideal ROI? Some mentors insist on 20%, which can be harder to find. Do you have an ideal ROI figure, which can still be ideal? I think this is a question for you, Steve.
There's a good question. It doesn't say which strategy for, does it? Oh, yeah, I can see the question now. Is there an ideal ROI? Yeah, the 20% is great. I think anything 15% above personally is good, but that is, again, quite a personal question. It's what's a good ROI for you? I know people that are happy to get 5, 10% at the same time. So if I'm flipping a property, sometimes you hear people say, oh, well, every flip should have £40,000 profit. Well, that's fine if it's a 200 grand property. It's not so fine if it's a £1 million property. So I think that using the percentage there, I usually say around 15%, if you're fairly accurate with your numbers, is a good way forward. And with our standard sort of, if I'm depositing a mortgage, because this depends on the strategy, right? If I deposit on a mortgage, I think ROI 15% is great. It's fantastic. 20%, I mean, if you're doing a BRR, you're going to expect to obviously get a very high return. So you're getting money out. You could even get an infinite return. So look, it's personal preference. My view, 15% above is great. I mean, where are you going to get that? Let's put it another way, right? If I put my money into stocks, I think the average movement over the last 50 years is about 9%, which is good. You put your money into properties. If you're getting 15% ROI based on cash flow, that's incredible. That's a very high ROI because you've also then got to factor in capital appreciation. I did a calculation just on a house that I bought deposit and mortgage 5 years ago. And so I put a deposit and a mortgage. And when I actually annualized the ROI and included the capital growth, because obviously it's hard to project that, but it's real, it actually worked out to be in about 40% per annum. But initially, it was a 15% on the surface based on cash flow. But hopefully that gives you an idea because there's many different types of deals. But when you're buying and holding, of course, you've got compounded growth over time, which is hard to factor into your. I know there is actually a calculation, I believe, down there, isn't there, at the bottom, which gives you a projection on based on market movements where that return could actually end up, which is actually really useful. You can't be 100% certain, but we've got if you're conservative, you can make a very good estimate.
Yeah, I think that on the BRR, it's interesting because you start with the initial investment, and then, if you do the work well and increase the value of the property and then refinance at the higher value, we have this metric, money left in the deal. So you can see basically how much actual investment like basically stays with this property. And then if we calculate the return on this investment, then you see much higher numbers because the net cash flow from the rental income will be on this number and not on this number, the initial cash investment.
Mm.
Then also, as you mentioned, Steve, on the long term, you have also the property appreciation. The IRR metric will factor it in. So you can see also the attribution of the appreciation to your return. And on Lendlord, you can also run the best case scenario and the worst case scenario. And you can add these scenarios, like let's say, even if you have, I don't know, only 0.5%, and then let's see what it will do. And it's still like you get some return because of the strategy of VR. If you do it well, and you actually improve the property value, then basically you can reduce your initial cash investment, and because of that, the return is a higher return. All right. Hi, Steve. Is it normal to find out that the property price marked as special discounted is not discounted after purchasing? Would you trust that agent, property consulting again? So if someone market property as special discounted.
Yeah, I've not seen that. Is that for a new build? I mean, I'm always whatever an agent puts on a property is I guess the seller's stating a preference, but this is where you really have to do your due diligence. Would I trust the agent again? You're right. What the bigger question is, would I have trusted them in the first place? And I say this owning an estate agency, so but there is such a mixed. I don't think it's necessarily even integrity. It's just ability. If I bring five agents out to value a property, they can be all over the place sometimes, and so. Often what happens is people try and sell with the highest agent and yeah, they've got all different tactics. I would say, how do we take control of this? Let me answer it a different way. I would always trust my own due diligence. And so this is where forgetting what anybody's asking for any property, what is it worth for you? What does it have to be for it to stack up to you? And equally, what are the sold comparables? And so, I mean, you see this in a lot, especially with maybe new, but this is why I wonder, is it a new build? Because sometimes new build, people put premiums, they say it's discounted, but discounted from what? It doesn't necessarily make sense. So without context, hopefully that helps to answer. But I would always depend on my own numbers, beyond any numbers anyone else has given me on what I think the property is worth today, what I think it's going to be worth, and what it's worth to me, because that's a different number as well. And I often say that to a seller, when I'm negotiating, I say, look, it's a great property, but in order for it to work for me, this is the most I can pay for it. I'm not even saying it's not worth it. That's just the most I can pay for it to be worth it for me.
Yeah, another question. You don't talk much about buying property in auctions. Do you avoid this deliberately? Um,
I wasn't sure if it's me or you because you've got auction stuff on here and I talk about auctions all the time. So I do, but maybe it's not being seen because I can see auctions on the left hand side there, right? You've got a ton of actual auction property. I wasn't 100% sure if it was towards myself or towards
yeah,
you.
so Lendlord definitely has the auction lots here. And I believe Steve also looking into auctions from time to time. So
Yeah, so I often talk. I mean, one of the things that I like to talk about with auctions, to make a quick point on auctions, is it's funny. I was recording a training course yesterday, and I did about 3 hours on auctions. But I like to talk about. It was for me. Yeah, okay. I like to talk about a couple of things. Pre-auction property and post-auction properties. Everyone thinks you buy at the auction, but actually, let's say you saw this property here that Avaram's pulled up, and I like the look of it. It's on as a guide price of 350. By the way, everyone guide price isn't the price. Sometimes people come to me, they go, I found a brilliant deal. I'm like, that's the guide price. Usually then there's a reserve price, which you can't see. Now, the reserve price is the minimum price that if it goes over that at auction, the property will sell for. Legally, that can't be more than 10% of the guide price. So in that case, if it was 350, it can't be more than 385,000, the reserve price. Now, if I'm going pre-auction, what I'm doing is I'm offering certainty for the seller because it's an unpredictable day when they go to auction. And if I still agree to buy under auction conditions, I'm offering certainty for myself and potentially getting a deal. Now, a lot of banks and large institutions won't deal before the auction, but a lot of individuals will. A lot of the time when individuals go to auctions because they want a quick sale and they want to be rid of the property for some reason. And so if we agree to buy under auction conditions, we can get quite good deals pre-auction and then post-auction is the other one I like to talk about because 1 in 3 properties doesn't sell at auctions. If you're following a handful of properties through and then you notice that the property doesn't sell, you're now in an incredibly strong position to swoop in and negotiate sometimes below the guide price. So Caroline, yeah, Caroline loves the post auction. Good to see you, by the way, Caroline. So yeah, pre-auction, post-auction. At auction's fine. You probably don't hear about me buying much at auction, and that's because I always seem to get outbid, but I'm super strict with my numbers. But where I have a lot of success and see a lot of success is pre-auction and post-auction, where you've got a bit more control and a bit more opportunity to negotiate. And if you're making a pre-auction, by the way, I always say that you're not going to be bidding at the auction. Otherwise, they'll just let you bid on at the auction. But there's two great opportunities there. Just make sure your funds and finances are in place if you go to bid at auction before you bid, because you're making a legally binding agreement to buy the property.
yeah, I think we should pick on like the last two questions because we're running out of time. Um, Let me see. You can also pick one if you see something that should be interesting for everyone. Um, the question from
Obi's asking a question to me. It might be a question for yourself. It's about logging and organizing your properties in software. And I don't think you've touched on it, Avaran, but you've got the management feature. And so my personal property, I've got a few different portfolio, different structures, but my personal property, I actually log in the Lendlord account. And so that gives you ability to see your portfolio, gives you the ability to look at the income, you can track rents, you can see when gas safety certificates are up, you can do all sorts of things within that platform. So I think this is probably the easiest way to answer your question because it's all there, including rent reviews. You can store your tenancy agreements. I mean, you can do everything within that management. I know we've been talking about sourcing deals, but actually there's three parts of the platform really. There's managing deals on this platform, there's sourcing deals on the platform, and then you've got actually finding the finance on this platform as well. We just only really covered one aspect of it here.
definitely. Yeah, we have a very enhanced manage section. So you can, as you mentioned, like we manage more than 150 different data items on each property, all the tasks in one place. My documents, which is a premium feature. So, it can be organized, all the documents that you need for each property. And you can also share documents with others. You can manage your tenants and tenancies. You can invite your tenants to their own dashboard. You can get maintenance issues. And you can also link your bank accounts on our premium plan to automate the cash flow and the transactions. And can review your actual performance of your portfolio or specific property over time, and you can generate reports and send it to your accountant. And if you're an individual, you can also file your tax electronically with Lendlord, which is also a premium feature. So get your 50% off for premium plan. Sorry if you can put again the link, and thanks, Steve, for mentioning that. Um,
No problem. I see a couple of questions from Mildred. Am I right to? Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So one question about best way to extend the lease. What does it cost as a proportion of the value of the property? It's a big question. Again, you guys ask some big questions. So if you're, I'm assuming this might be because you're looking to extend the lease. It depends on the current length of the lease. Usually when I drop under 80 years, there's something called marriage value that's added, and it means that you split the value increase with the freeholder. And so often this is when you hear about really expensive lease extensions. That said, and lease extensions is a big topic, but that said, if you've got a lease at the moment which is running low, personally, I would consider holding on because the Leasehold Reform Act is now looking to drastically change the cost of extending a lease and the process of extending a lease, which is going to mean it's a lot more cost effective and gives a lot of power back to you as the leaseholder. And so I've got a couple of clients that are just holding off at the minute. So it might be a year or two until that goes through, but I'm pretty confident that those changes will go through. They're already very far along the process, but that will really make your life easier when it comes to extending leases. And so it's hard. There are calculators you can use online if you're looking to get an indication of what it would be to extend the lease now. But I would take them with a pinch of salt because there's quite a process behind it with getting surveyors to come and value the property and negotiating with the freeholder. But it can give you a good indication so you can check if something's feasible.
you
And
can
then
also
building up.
download AI. I don't like we're not right now, but you can try it. There is a learn section here, so you
Oh,
can
nice.
basically ask about, what would be the cost of extending the lease from this year to this year's.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and another quick question, I think it's important question. Can you export the portfolio if you stop using Lendlord? What do you do with the information? So everything is exportable. So you just need to go to the My Portfolio page, for instance, for all of your properties. Or if you even manage just the prospect properties, you can see all the prospects that you have. And then here, just click on the export button, and then it will export it as a CSV or Excel file, I think. So also on the cash flow side, you can export your cash flow information, all the transactions. So yeah, the answer is yes, you can export the data.
There's another one there for you. Can you add a whole building into the management side?
Sorry, we tell you that this is in the roadmap. Yeah, we hear it a lot. So currently, no, there are some workarounds. So if you schedule a call with the team, we can explain how you can do it, but it's like we don't support for buildings as of yet. But we do support HMOs and things like that. Okay, so I think unless we have something that you think we should answer now, I think we can wrap up this webinar. And perhaps we can remind again, Steve, if you want like another word about the program and the opportunity that people that can register today.
Yes, absolutely. So, look, firstly, it's great to spend the evening with you. It's great to see everyone on here. Great to see some familiar faces. Great to see some new names as well, and get to virtually meet you guys. Now, over the last 19 years of property investment, I've built a portfolio of many different strategies. So I've currently got commercial property, HMO, buy to let, service accommodation, and I'll be talking about all of those strategies and also what works specifically in this year and right now. I've talk about my deal sourcing business. My partner's got a very successful rent to rent business. We'll talk about tax and how you manage that and how we analyze and monetize deals. So we're going to spend 2 days live online, delivering training, answering questions. And so it'll be incredible if you guys want to come along to that 2 days, then I'll pop a link in the chat right now and you can come along to that 2 days. And this is just to register your interest. So we're going to be launching and announcing the tickets to the priority list 48 hours before they go public, if there's any left. So if you are interested in coming along, would love you to jump on the priority list. Let us know that you're interested, and you'll be the first people to know when that event actually goes public and when the tickets are available to come along. And I'd love to spend a day with you, answer your questions, or 2 days with you, answer your questions, and support you towards your goals and dreams as well.
Amazing. Great opportunity. So hurry up and register. Thanks, Steve. And also a reminder for the, like you have by the end of the webinar time, but to upgrade to the premium plan, I will keep this session open for the next 2 hours, hopefully. And then just go to the settings page or click on the link that I put on the chat, click upgrade and click add coupon, enter the word Steve webinar and click apply to get the 50% off for the entire year. It's for the first year. Second year, it will be 99 pounds, but you can cancel before if you are not happy. You can reach out to the team using this chat or use our help center to get lots of information about how to use the platform. And yeah, so I think this is for tonight. Thank you very much, Steve. It was great as
It's
always.
a pleasure. Thanks again, Abraham. I'm just laughing at some of the comments. People saying I usually go on for hours, because often if I do an evening webinar, we end up, some of these guys here who have been coached by me in the group coaching, will end up, they know I like to talk. So I think I've been well behaved this evening. I've kept my answers fairly concise. I'll answer Saryl's question very quickly because he asked the question, how much is a ticket? And I don't want you to think it's, to worry about it. Firstly, to register interest is completely free. And when the tickets go live, it's £99 for the entire 2 days. And if you don't like it after one day, then let us know. We'll give you a complete refund as well. We want it to be valuable for you. And so just so you know, at this point, just to register your interest is entirely for free. If you decide to come along to the 2 days, it's £99. If after the first day you don't think it's worth the money, if you don't think it's great value, then I will refund you, or the team will refund you 100%. No questions asked. And I look forward to seeing you guys on this. So just got to jump on the list for now, and we'll let you know as soon as those tickets become available.
Sounds like a no-brainer. Like for the
Excellent
very
stuff.
affordable. So yeah, hurry up and sign up. Yeah, so thank you very much everyone for joining. Thanks, Steve. And we will see you in the next webinar. I'm keeping this session live if you still want to upgrade to the premium plan with the 50% off. And you have also the link on the chat. Steve, perhaps you can put it because we have many thanks you again to get your seat for the event in May with Steve. Yeah, perfect. So thank you very much. Have a great evening. Thanks, Steve.
Excellent stuff. Aviram, thanks for having me, guys. Thanks for joining us. And look, again, I mean it when I say like I really got massive respect for people that take time out of their evening to attend webinars, to learn how they can develop and grow and do things better. And you're the guys that ultimately do go out and create massive success. So I look forward to hearing your stories. I look forward to seeing you smash it. And I look forward to seeing some of you guys at the Property Wealth Accelerator soon as well. Thanks very much. Oh, and as I always like to say, let's make the rest of your life the best of your life. Thank you, guys.
One. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Bye bye.